Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Kerrie Niemeier. I'm the Director of Marketing and Sales for Wells Great Tours. And we have a fun webinar this morning to talk about. We are talking about a beautiful destination, Fiji and New Zealand. And this is an extra special trip because we are sailing on a luxury yacht. So a fairly new product for Wells Great Tour. We're thrilled to be offering this product, and I have two very special guests joining me this morning. Our first guest is Nish Patel. He is the Senior Officer for Scenic Group, and Mayflower is owned by Scenic. So he is here this morning to share all the insights about this wonderful ship that you will be sailing on. And our other special guest is our president and owner, of course, of Wells Great Tours, Roland Neave. So welcome to both of you. Thank you so much for joining this morning to talk about this fabulous new itinerary. And I'll let you take it away first, Roland.
Right. Thank you, Kerrie. And good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming to join our webinar today. And we're so delighted to be sharing this news about the latest luxury yacht that we're able to offer. Now, some of you perhaps were on the Emerald Sakara in the Caribbean just a month ago. And it sounds like that was a wonderful trip, and everybody was very well pampered. And my wife and I were on the Sakara a year ago, and that's how I came up with the idea that we should run this as a tour so that you get a different experience in cruising. So, just to explain a bit about Scenic Group is a company based in Australia, and it owns Emerald Cruise Lines and Mayflower Tours. So we've had access, thanks to Nish's negotiating skills, to a lot of interesting cruises with Emerald. So recently, I've been on three trips, the Sakara in the Caribbean. Just a few weeks ago, Anne and I came back from the Mekong in Vietnam, and there we were on the Emerald Harmony. And then a year and a half ago or so, we were on the Emerald Radiance on the Douro River in Portugal. So those are my three experiences traveling with Emerald. Now, the trip from Fiji to New Zealand in November is on the Scenic Eclipse, which is a step up from Emerald. And anybody who is on Emerald with me will say, well, how can you go even better than that? But Scenic Eclipse is really even more luxurious. So it has beautiful staterooms. So Emerald and Eclipse all have beautiful staterooms. There's no inside or outside staterooms. They all have balconies. In fact, they're generally called suites rather than even calling them a stateroom. You have butler service in every stateroom. It's not like the big ships where you have to go to the front desk and line up to get any service at all. You just call your butler and ask for what you want on the Eclipse. So really, the service is terrific, and Nish can tell you what the ratio is of passengers to crew. 1 to 1, isn't it, Nish? Something like that.
Very close to
So
1 to 1.
yeah, so you've got you don't have to look very far to find somebody to answer your question or help you with something or get you reserved in one of the many dining rooms that are on board. So meals are absolutely fabulous. Like breakfast and lunch is buffet with I think you can do a menu ordering if you wish. And dinner is multi-courses, so 4 courses at least that I saw. And by the time you've had 4 courses, you're probably not looking for a fifth course. But it's a really gourmet dining that you can enjoy. The Emerald ships generally have one dining room, but the Eclipse has 9 dining rooms, some of them with just 1 or 2 tables in them. So you do reserve in advance for those dining rooms, but you have a terrific choice of different cuisine, different dining rooms, different views as you go along. And keep in mind that this is a small ship. It only has 100 staterooms, which means, well, in theory, you could have 200 people on board. But with singles, as we find, we have a lot of singles on our tours these days, and so that will reduce the count somewhat. So it's uh, a very intimate group that is sailing together. Now, uh, wine and beer is included with lunch and dinner, but it's an open bar on Scenic Eclipse. So if you want to have something to to drink with breakfast other than orange juice and coffee, then you can order it. 24 hours a day, the bar is open and all complimentary. And so it is great service. So I'm talking about the eclipse as though I've been on it, but I haven't. But Anne and I are looking forward to going on the eclipse in June. So we'll be sailing from Dublin, Ireland, up along the west coast of Scotland, and then to the Faroe Islands, which I've never been to. Quite excited about seeing that. And then over to Iceland. And I was actually just in Iceland last June with our previous President's Cruise. The Mekong cruise was our most recent President's Cruise, but the cruise to Svalbard or Spitsbergen was last June, and we went to Iceland on that trip. So we're going to go back to Iceland. I'm fine with that because Iceland, when people ask me, a very common question, what's your favorite country in the world, other than Canada, of course? uh, Iceland is one place that I love to go to. But Anne and I are remote places, uncrowded places, not big cities. So Iceland suits us very well, and we'll be happy to go back there again with some different ports at this time and enjoying all the luxury of the scenic eclipse. So that's in June this year, a few months from now. So I'll be able to tell you a lot more about my experience on the scenic eclipse for after I get back from that trip. And if you haven't already decided that you want to book on this tour from Fiji to Auckland. So I think one thing to especially point out to you is that perhaps many of you, when you think of cruising, you think of big ships, like several thousand people are going to be on a ship. And this is an entirely different experience, as maybe I've got across to you so far. Only 200 people, or probably less than that, will be on this Fiji cruise. And so it's very different from being on a big ship. So, as I said, you've got impeccable service and wonderful meals, and you're sharing the yacht with such a smaller number of people. And I think you also have some bragging rights because you can genuinely say that you have been on a private yacht
Mhm.
cruising for 12 days in the South Pacific. Now, that's going to turn some heads at your next social engagement. So I think that's some very good reasons why you should try this out. So, of course, the Scenic Eclipse and this cruise from Fiji is a lot more expensive than a big ship. But just keep that in mind that there's a lot of differences between a big ocean ship and one of these smaller ships like Emerald or Scenic operates. And I think it's well worth that experience to try to do that. It's a big advantage. I hear from people who've been on ocean ships, and it sometimes depends on which line you're traveling with, but they get tired of being nickel and dimed because, yes, you get a terrific deal. And I think I've seen Alaska cruises already for this summer for $500 for an inside cabin. So you get a terrific deal for a week, but you'll pay extra for everything else that you want to do. Whereas on Eclipse, almost everything is included. I think the I like to call it a submarine, but Nish has already corrected me and said, no, it's a submersible. But you do pay extra if you want the submersible ride underneath the sea and if you want the helicopter ride. Other than that, I think pretty much everything is included, but I'll leave you to talk more about that, Nish. So don't get me wrong, I still love going on Holland America and occasionally Norwegian, but I also really enjoy this experience of being on a small ship. So I'm going to bow out now, but I really hope that you will come and join us on the Scenic Eclipse, traveling from Fiji to Auckland. So over to you, Kerrie, and thanks very much for listening, everybody. Unfortunately, I double booked myself this morning, and I'm off to speak to Kamloops Probus Club uh, at in about half an hour from now. So I better get going. All right. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you so much,
See you again
Roland.
sometime.
Thank you for taking the time,
All right.
sharing those insights about the ship. And I'll pass it over now to Nish, and he can share a little bit of his background and a little bit more of, what you can expect sailing with this fabulous cruise line. So thank you, Nish, for being here this morning.
Good morning, and thank you, Kerrie, for including me. I've been in this business for a very long time. I won't say you the numbers, but about 40 plus years I've been doing this thing. So I am a senior executive at the Scenic Group. I run the Mayflower brand, but which is 100% owned by Scenic. For those of you who are not familiar with the Scenic Group, it was started by Mr. Glenn Maroney, Australian-based person. I mean, the company is Aussie-based. They started in 1986, and they used to, and they still do many, 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 many trips to Canada. That was their calling. In 2009, they started looking and doing into river cruising in Europe, and the owner decided this was very nice and should be doing well. So started to build his own ship because he didn't like the quality that was out there, and that's how the Scenic Cruises started. Scenic technically has two major brands. One is called Scenic, and the other one's called Emerald. The big difference between the two, Emerald is a five-star brand, and Scenic, they call it the five-star plus. Emerald has mostly inclusive, whereas Scenic is all inclusive. Basically, everything is included, your food, your drinks, your shore excursions, your gratuities, everything is included. The only thing you have to pay on the rivers is for the spa treatment if you want any. But they do have, like, onshore excursions, multiple choices on shore excursions, high-end shore excursions, very well done. So that's part of the difference between the two. The Scenic Eclipse, I mean, the journey to the ocean started in 2019. So Scenic Eclipse was launched in 2019. That was the first ship that was launched. It is 551 feet long. It's 228 passengers at the most. It has 176 crew members, so almost 1-to-1 ratio passengers to cruise. The ship is built as Polar Class 6, which means it does go to Antarctica and Arctic and everything in between. So the ship is very well built. It's one of the most luxurious ships right now sailing the Antarctica. I can talk about the stabilizers, right? It's got the 0 speed stabilizer, it sits by itself without anchoring and not move. It's 50% larger propulsions. I mean, there's a lot of good technical stuff that it does. And why? Because when you go to Antarctica or some of the oceans, where this water may be rough, it allows you to be more stable.
Mm-hmm.
So at this time, the Scenic owns, between the two brands, Scenic and Emerald, we own and operate 24 river ships and 5 ocean ships. Roland mentioned he was on the Zura, which is the Emerald brand. That brand is also, they have 3 ships. Scenic has 2 ships in their brand in the oceans. And these are yachts. They go to places where big ships cannot go, will not go. So remote areas, and very nicely done. As I mentioned, every cabin on the Eclipse has a balcony, and a balcony that is substantial. Smallest room size is about 300 square feet, which is pretty large. And they are called suites because they have a bedroom and a sitting area separate, but even the smallest of the cabin. It has butler service, so every cabin has a butler.
Mm.
It is all inclusive, which means everything that is on the ship, all the meals, all the drinks, everything is included. The only optional item they have is the helicopter ride or the submersible ride, and any spa treatments that you do. Other than that, it's all included. I mean, and you'll see as you go along, it's very, very exclusive. It has 9 different restaurants to eat. I mean, it's just amazing. Different foods, Italian, American. You have French food. You have Asian food. I mean, you name it. It's kind of all inclusive. Even the mini bar in your cabins is included, so you can keep drinking and they'll refill. Whatever is in it, they'll refill every day. It's definitely a excellent service. One of the things I always say, and on both Emerald and Scenic ocean ships, from day one, people will start calling you by your name. That only happens because the crew studies everyone's, and they know there's only a couple of hundred people. So you'll be addressed by your name very next day that you board, which is very interesting because, personalized service again. All kinds of meals, special requests are taken care of. The good news is Scenic 2, which is what you're going to be sailing on, came out in 2023. So it's very new. It's about less than 2 years old. So you're on a brand new ship out there. 10 dining options. They have 9 bars and lounges to drink. There's a champagne and whiskey bar with more than 100 different brands of champagne and whiskeys that you can have, all included. So without further ado, I'm going to let Kerrie do the PowerPoint about the trip. In the meantime, anybody has any questions about the ship or anything else, I'll be here to answer.
Excellent. Great. Thank you so much, Nish. I have sailed on Emerald, which was 2 years ago when I did a river cruise in Portugal with the company, and it was 5-star. So to know that there's 5-star plus service, I'm curious. That I love this idea. So it just sounds fabulous. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll run through the itinerary. Okay, so here we go. Let me know that you can see this okay, Nish. Does that pop up for you? Great. Okay, so we are off on this fabulous new itinerary. One of the highlights, of course, will be these destinations, Fiji, and sailing off to New Zealand, finishing in Auckland, and on a small ship. So this really beautiful paradise. Big cruise ships don't go to some of these locations, which Nish touched on. So we are off to Fiji on this luxury yacht. This will be sailing in November. We are taking just small group of 25 people. We do have some early booking bonuses left of $300 per person. Those are first come, first serve, and it is an activity level 3. We always like to point that out. And this will be 12 days sailing on the luxury yacht. So I have a map here. Hopefully you can see that. Oh, let me just go back. Okay, so we will be flying you from here into Fiji, landing in Latokea. We have a couple of days here before we board the yacht, then sailing off and spending 5 different islands. So we'll be touring 5 different islands before making our way over to New Zealand, on the coast of New Zealand, stopping in 3 ports, and then flying you home from Auckland. That's just a nice overview. So of course, we always pick you up in your home cities with Wells Grey Tours, so we will have that transportation arranged and be coaching you down to New Westminster. This picture is the inn at the quay. So we have an overnight here, including a dinner to get to know your fellow travelers. Your tour director will be with you. And then the next morning, we do have a leisure morning. We're going to have an afternoon at the Bloedel Conservatory with a locally guided tour around Vancouver, and then we'll make our way off to the airport. So our flight will depart this evening and then landing in Fiji. So our flight will land in Latokea. So this is a beautiful area in Fiji. Our coach and local guide will meet us right at the airport, and we'll be off to tour a traditional Fijian village. So this is a picture here. You can see their traditional grass houses. So we're going to learn about some of the oldest settlements in Fiji and where the first Fijians landed around 1500 BC. So that'll kickstart our tour. Now, while we are in Fiji, we have a beautiful stay at a 5-star property. We have 2 nights at the Sofitel Resort and Spa. So this is the picture. You can see fabulous pools right on the ocean, right facing those magical sunsets and incredible turquoise water, all those paradise features that Fiji has to offer. So you will have time to soak in all of the sunshine and vitamin C in the area. Now, while we are here, we're going to include some local tours as well. So our next day will be off to the village of Nadi. So this is, it's a vibrant culture. You can see how beautiful it is, how lush and green with the ocean in the background. We're going to take you to a local farmer's market. You can get to know the local people, maybe purchase some local handicraft, try the local produce. The food is delicious here, of course, with the focus on tropical fruits and seafood. So hopefully you can try some of those local dishes. We'll also visit one of the largest Hindu temples in the Southern Hemisphere, which has some beautiful spiritual significance. So a really wonderful day planned touring around Nadi. Have you been to Fiji, Nish? I should ask you that. I've never been.
No, I have not been to Fiji, but I've been to Australia and New Zealand.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I have.
All 3 are on my bucket list.
Yeah, beautiful. I've had groups that have been there. I have friends who've been there, and they come back raving about it. So you'll love Nadi.
Okay. And then we have, so after our 2 days in Fiji, we will have a transfer provided right to the dock, and we'll step on the luxurious Scenic Eclipse II. So here's a picture of this luxury yacht. You can see what a fabulous ship it is from the photograph. Once you get on board, you'll have a light lunch or snack provided. You'll have time to explore the yacht. As Roland and Nish mentioned, every stateroom is a suite. So you do have a balcony. So you can get out on that balcony, and then we sail at 6 o'clock. And then you're ready for your first delicious meal on board with all of that all-inclusive food and the beverages as well. So just a couple notes. Nish and Roland touched on this earlier. It's a really compact, intimate, and luxurious experience. This ship was launched in 2023. So as Nish mentioned, basically a brand new boat to hit those waters. So you're going to be on a beautiful new ship. It has just 114 suites, as they mentioned, only about 200 passengers on board, and that crew of 176 people. So really that one-to-one service. Here's a picture of the crew. Of course, they would rotate out, but this is that happy crew, the captains and your stewards that will be greeting you on board.
Just real quick, smallest cabin on the ship has a balcony and it's 350 square feet.
Yeah, that's a big size stateroom. I have a couple photos. Oh, here we are.
There you go.
Here we go. So as you can see, Nish mentioned that you have your bedroom and then also a sitting room and then a balcony. And then a very good sized bathroom as well. You can see from the beautiful balcony, those sliding doors that open right onto your private veranda. Each suite also has their own butler. So you have your own butler looking after you. The minibar is restocked daily, as they mentioned. So you're really going to be catered to all your every need in these beautiful rooms. Here's another. So this is a deluxe veranda suite. So it's nice and spacious, absolutely gorgeous views, large balcony. This is looking the other way, so looking into the room. You can see you have a desk as well. Beautiful area, and then the bathroom just located in and behind. And here's a picture of a veranda suite. So slightly smaller, but this would be the 300 square feet, and still that sitting area and a large deck and balcony and bathroom. So you're going to be very comfortable sailing for these 12 days. So here's a picture of the washroom. It looks nicer than mine at home. This is beautiful. Just all brand new. Beautiful robes. And as we mentioned, 10 restaurants to serve you. So the Yacht Club will serve that breakfast, lunch, and special themed dinners. All of the beverages on board are complimentary. There's an exclusive and very extensive wine cellar, lots of cocktails, beers. I mean, you will not go thirsty or hungry on this vacation. We did touch on this a little bit. I think Roland mentioned that a few of the restaurants do have limited seats, so not everyone can use them at the same time. So you will need to make reservations upon boarding. So you can do that once you get on board. There are 10 restaurants to choose from, so you have lots of variety, and you can choose each day what you would like to do and then book. There is also a chef's table, so this is pretty exclusive, but it's done by invitation, and the ship crew will invite people throughout the journey to join the captain at the chef's table, I believe. Is that correct, Nish?
Not at a chef's table. That's a very high-end culinary experience that they do. Captain is not, because it only seats about 8 or 10 people.
Okay.
Yeah, so captain doesn't go on that one, but they'll do other things with them,
Excellent. So here is one of the main restaurants. This is the Elements restaurant. This features Italian steak and seafood, and it's an a la carte menu. So you can just see how beautiful the restaurant is. There's also the Azure Cafe. So this you can go throughout the day and have all day grazing, a really nice relaxed atmosphere. There's also the Asian Fusion restaurant, Coco's. So a lot of variety. And then Lumiere is the French cuisine and champagne bar. And as Nish mentioned earlier, there's over 100 different brands of whiskey and champagne that you can try. So that, I love champagne. I'm not a huge whiskey fan, but maybe if I did a tasting, I would come around. I think I'm growing into whiskey. And then, so we'll talk a little bit more about some of the amenities on the ship. This is the beautiful pool. It's the sky deck pool. So this is open for you at your leisure, so you can swim under the sun in the pool. As mentioned, all the shore excursions are included, and there are choices offered at each port. So on each island, there will be different shore excursions offered, and you will be able to choose which excursion you like. Now, one question we often get, Nish, is do the excursions fill up really quickly? Are there limit to numbers for each excursion? How does that work? They do that
Yes.
when they're on board? Okay.
Yeah, it's yes and yes, because there are multiple or 200 people, they will do multiple different stuff. But we give you those choices way before you even depart.
Okay, great.
We send you all the shore excursions about maybe 5 months prior, so then you can start picking up what you want when you want it. So you're ahead of the game by selecting before you depart, because if you do it while on the ship, you may or may not be able to get what you want.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and I believe we haven't received them yet at Wells Gray, but as soon as they're available, which is it probably most likely in March, then the clients you'll have the opportunity to get those booked. Now, two of the things that are not included, as mentioned previous, was the helicopter experience and the submersible. So those two are extra costs. Pretty cool. There's a helicopter on this. So here's another photo of the beautiful pool and lounging area. And that is the helicopter. So that is extra, but it's a beautiful day and you're, around these gorgeous islands. Might be an amazing time to try a helicopter excursion or the submersible. So the submersible is sort of like a submarine, as I understand. You sort of get inside something. It is tethered to the ship, so it's not technically a submarine because you only would go so far from the ship, but you'll get right down underneath the water and have some good viewing of the fish. Is that correct, Nish?
Yeah, it is a 6-passenger.
Oh, 6-passenger, okay.
6 passengers, and it's tethered because this way, so you're never by yourself. We can always pull you back up.
Yeah.
and you'll see, like after the show, when you send out the link for the videos, you'll see it's a very nice, very beautiful way of viewing under the sea without being wet.
Yeah.
Again, some of those things are very weather related and country related. Sometimes we cannot just fly on any country every time. So they usually will tell us ahead of time, this is where we can fly, this is where we cannot fly. And all the bookings for this is done on the ship because we don't never know when the weather is going to turn different and we can't fly. So just
right.
keep that.
Okay. Or if the seas are rough, you're not going to put people under the water. That makes sense. And one other question that pops into mind is on some of the islands, there's some absolutely gorgeous water, white sand beaches, coral reefs, fish. So there is some snorkeling opportunities, I believe. Is there snorkeling gear available on the ship, Nish, or would they bring their own?
They have some gear,
Okay.
If you're a professional and you need to go way deep down. Like we had a group that went to Fiji last November. There were a couple of them were really good, deep water. And so they arranged for their equipment to be, rented from the local places. So
Okay.
if you're interested in I can check and let you know where they can, and
Okay.
then who the suppliers are that they can buy from.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, if you're a guest that's looking to go on this and you're into snorkeling or scuba diving, let us know and we'll look into where you could rent. Okay.
Usually is very they have some snorkeling equipment, but scuba is where you really want to get somebody to help you out because we can't carry all the equipment on
Right. Yes, that makes sense. I recently did a trip to the Galapagos and we snorkeled, and it's amazing how much you can see by just being on the surface of the water. We saw all of the fish. So I would highly recommend if it's a calm day and you're brave, get out there and do some snorkeling in these beautiful clear waters.
They do have a lot of cool toys, water toys, I'll tell you. I mean, they pick days where they just dock out on the waters, calm waters, and they roll out all the equipment out there. There's all kinds of things. I can't even know some of the names, but there's a kids and candy store, that's what we call it, and they'll roll out all their stuff on the marina. The marina is
Right.
beautiful.
Yeah, I do remember seeing a picture of Roland when he was on the Azura ship in the Caribbean, just out floating on the noodles and different equipment and just having a great time in the beautiful water. So here's a picture of the Wellness Center. So this is a beautiful gym. There is also a yoga studio. We do have a couple days at sea when we are sailing just mostly from Fiji over into New Zealand. So you will have time to use these beautiful amenities. The spa, this is a picture of the spa. There's also an infrared sauna. So that's available for you to use. Some really nice amenities there. So one of the days when this is our 6th day when we're relaxing at sea, you can choose also one of the fitness classes. So there's that salt therapy lounge, there's the senses spa, you could do a yoga class. So different fitness classes and the gym, you'll have lots to keep you busy and relaxed and feeling refreshed and rejuvenated. And then we sail over and land in Vanuatu, which is a Pacific island known for its stunning landscapes and vibrant tradition. So there's over 80 islands, and we are going to visit Tanna and have a day here. It's one of the most southern islands. There is an active volcano you can see from the photo. It's a spectacular island. So we do have a day here, and that is where you can choose some of those shore excursions that are available. And then our next day will be landing in Lifui. So this is one of the largest and highest islands in New Caledonia. So a French territory, really beautiful cliffs. So the barrier reef is gorgeous. You're going to have these beautiful pristine beaches with lush forests underneath and really unique coral reefs. So this is one of the very popular areas for that snorkeling or scuba diving that we talked about. Then our next day, we visit another island of New Caledonia, the Isle of Pines. This is nicknamed the Jewel of the Pacific. So there are some beautiful trees you see in the background, these white sand shores. It is considered a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So it's just a fabulous place to spend the day. And we'll have time here again for swimming, snorkeling, relaxing, walking the beaches, sun tanning, all of the things to get your feet wet in the sand. And then our next day we stop at, this is Kerrie Islet, and it's an uninhabited island, so it's on the Pacific Ocean, and this is sort of a Robinson Crusoe fantasy. It's this little islet of perfection. It is really pristine with no people living there. It's very protected. So these coral reefs really are teeming with all of those colorful fish. So again, another opportunity to get in the water, get snorkeling, and see life under the water. Would you know the temperature of the water by chance? Like, would people need wetsuits? It's probably quite warm. I don't believe yeah.
It doesn't get as cold as the Atlantic. So, yeah, they don't have as cold weather as most of the Atlantic places have. So the water is pretty warm.
Pretty warm.
And keep in mind they're opposite, so they're you're going in during a little warmer time.
Mm-hmm. So you probably wouldn't even need a wetsuit. You would just jump right in your swimming base wear. So now we're already on to day 11. Now this is our second day relaxing at sea. So once again, you can enjoy all those onboard services, activities, the spa, the fitness center, those restaurants, bars. There is entertainment in the evening as well. So there's a beautiful theater. Does this happen nightly? I should ask Nish, is there entertainment every evening?
Every
on
evening,
board?
director puts something together. So there's singing, there's competition. I mean, it's all fun stuff that they will do. I mean, the auditorium on the Scenic Eclipse is phenomenal. It's beautiful. It's almost like a 360-degree view, because what happens is this is where the cruise director brings everybody the day before to kind of brief him on what's going to happen next week, tomorrow, and the day after. And I mean, it's like I would say 180-degree screen around you. So it's massive. It is one of the wonderful things that they have. So.
Okay. And then our next day, which is day 12, we will visit Norfolk Island. So this is a picture of Norfolk. It is, again, a beautiful island. It was settled by the Polynesians, rediscovered by Captain Cook in 1774. Some really wonderful history here. We will get off and go to the UNESCO World Heritage Site, visit the beaches, and off to the national park. And the national park is known for being full of parrots, and they are everywhere. You will see them flying around. That's going to be a beautiful afternoon exploring Norfolk Island. Then we have one more day at sea. So this is our day 13. And this is when we are cruising south over to New Zealand. So again, you can enjoy all those onboard activities. You can see this is a beautiful picture of the lounge where you can read, relax, look out, see the gorgeous scenery going by, play games, but you'll be very comfortable, that's for sure. Then we are welcomed to New Zealand. So our first stop is in the Bay of Islands, and this was one of the oldest towns funded by the Europeans. It's beautiful, colorful garden, whitewashed houses, beautiful beaches. Christchurch is in this area, and the oldest church in the country, which dates back to 1836. So again, some wonderful shore excursion opportunities right here on our first stop in New Zealand. And then we will cruise along the east coast of the North Island and head for the Great Barrier Island. Now this is recognized for its exceptional stargazing. It has a bird life refuge. So there will be some unique opportunities here, again, for shore excursions. You can go on shore. There's even the option to go and look at the shoreline and do a trip on the Zodiac. So some unique opportunities here. And then our next day, this is our third stop in New Zealand at Tararunga. So this is a really natural geothermal wonderland. So you can see with the hot springs exploding in the background, there's those bubbling mud pools and this really high volcanic activity. So a very different landscape than what we've seen so far in the itinerary. So this will be a wonderful day with some different opportunities for different shore excursions. And then we will set sail and land in Auckland. My cousin lives in Auckland, and I still have not gone to visit her. So this is a big place on my bucket list. Absolutely fabulous city. So it is the largest city in New Zealand, has the largest concentration of Polynesian people, a lot of cultural here. So we will be disembarking this day. We will have a coach and local guide meet us. And as we disembark and say goodbye to our beautiful luxury yacht, we will take a tour around Auckland. So we will get off and tour Auckland. There's a lot of sites right in Auckland that we will sightsee with our local guide. Now, before we move on into these couple spots on land, Nish, anything else we want to add about the Scenic Eclipse that I'm missing that we didn't cover? Now, Nish mentioned there was a video. He has sent me that link. It's a fabulous 4-minute video, and I will send that out to all of you with the recording this afternoon. So you can watch that and just sort of get a really nice feel of the ship and the amenities and that lifeline kind of live video. So I'll make sure and add that.
No, Kerrie, you covered everything. And as I say, the more you talk about the ship, the more you can look into it. I could be sitting here all day, but they will have, I mean, I have not heard back from anybody who's come back from the Eclipse trip unhappy. You know, it's going very well. People are loving the attention that they're given to. The food selection is excellent, and so is the wine and champagne and the liquor selections. And the great news is it's all inclusive. So, you know, with the exception of the helicopter and and a submersible and some spa treatments, you don't have to pay anything else, It's taken care of. So, and as I say, there's the greatest part that I like about it is being a small yacht. It can go to the smallest ports, remotest areas where nobody else goes. And the best part is everybody knows you by your name. That makes a very, very big difference for people when they are being greeted by their name every day in the morning. And so
it's true. I had an experience sailing on a catamaran in the Galapagos, and I hadn't been on a small ship experience to that nature. And when you're in these really pristine environments and you're on a small ship and you have this less of an environmental impact and you can be part of nature and the wildlife without having a huge impact and going to these more remote places, it really is such a different experience. So I really loved it. And
if anybody has any questions about the ship, I can answer them. Otherwise.
Excellent. Okay. So thank you, Nish. So we're in Auckland. We do have 2 nights at a 5-star hotel. So don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, we won't, you're still in luxury for the rest of the trip. So 2 nights here at the Sky City Hotel, which is right in the downtown core of Auckland. And we do have dinner at Orbit 360. So this is the beautiful revolving restaurant on top of the Sky Tower with a terrific view of Auckland. So this will be a fabulous first introduction to be in Auckland in New Zealand. Then we will get you out. We're going to take the ferry over to Waiheke Island. So we're going to spend a little time going on the gorgeous beaches over here. There are some wonderful walking trails, and we're going to visit the Stony Ridge Winery and do a tour, have a lunch and winery tour and tastings here. So one of my favorite wines to drink is a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. If you love Sauvignon Blanc, and every time you know it's from New Zealand, you can just taste it. So you're going to have a great time at the winery. I know that. And then our last day, we will visit the Auckland War Memorial Museum. So this will really tell us the story of New Zealand, the history of the people. We'll learn about the Maori people, which of course is their history and their storytelling. So this will be a fabulous day to end the trip. And then we do go to the airport this evening. So we have a night flight back to Vancouver. So on our way there, we cross the international date line. So we sort of lose a day, but we gain it when we come back. So we'll arrive back in Vancouver and then again overnight at the quay and transfer you home the following day back into the BC interior. So that's the itinerary in a nutshell. I'm going to go ahead and just stop sharing my screen. Now, if anyone had, what's happening here? When it let me, I want to stop sharing. Okay. Exit out of here. Sorry, technical difficulties here. Why is this happening? Stop share. Here we go. I think that worked. There we are. Now, if anyone had any questions, they could go ahead and put those in the chat. I'm just going to look in our chat and see. We don't have any questions so far. But if you do have any questions, of course, you can follow up with our local office. You can follow up with me as well, and I can follow up with Nish or with Roland, who has experience sailing on a luxury yacht. And as he mentioned at the beginning, he is sailing on the Scenic Eclipse in June. So after his experience, he's very willing to share with anyone who's interested or has any questions about his experience. So I want to say thank you so much to Nish for joining us and taking the time to tell us more about this fabulous trip and this beautiful ship. It's on my list, Nish. I have to save some money first, but it's a beautiful itinerary. Fiji has always been big on my list. I know it's a beautiful paradise, and then you go on a luxury yacht, it's sort of the cherry on the top for that. So thank you so much. We'll be in touch. And let me just check the chat one more time. Nope. Okay. All right. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Nish. Take care.